Welcome back, everyone. It's Monday, July 10th, and you are listening to the Daily Financial Markets with NYU grad. I hope you had a great weekend, and welcome back to the week. So let's jump in. I'm a little bit under the weather, so let's just power through. Today's episode is going to be named or called Eating Risky Sushi, and you'll see why in a little bit. So today's breadth readings, fairly, I guess it was more to the buyers today. There's 157 new highs versus 79 new lows. And we had roughly 5,800 advancing shares versus 2,300 declining. The 10-year Treasury yield was pretty flat at 4%, so there was nothing to report there. What really stuck out for me pre-market before the opening bell, um, the dollar and the gold shares were kind of inversely correlated, obviously. So, you had gold very weak pre-market, and the dollar was rising very strong. But throughout the day, this reversed, and gold recovered after the open, and the dollar was pressured pretty much all day. Another dichotomy that was developing in the morning, which I pointed out on Twitter as well as in the notes on Substack, the Dow, ES, NQ, and Russell, they were all positive in the morning after the bell, but you had a soft open for Apple, Nvidia, Tesla, Amazon, Google, Microsoft, and Meta. Well, minus Meta. Meta was kind of doing very well all day because of the new competitor to Twitter called Thread. So Meta was up pretty much all day. Around noontime, though, I noted that either two things were going to happen. Indices were going to catch down to the seven amigos, is what I'll call them, or the leading mega cap seven amigos would catch up to the indices, and the latter is what happened. All of the mega cap tech started to rise and fight back in the afternoon session, and we had a pretty bullish day. In the morning, the vice Fed chair, Michael Barr, he was at an event talking for a little bit over an hour and predominantly talking about banking reform and how to kind of avoid what happened with Silicon Valley Bank and First Republic Bank. I think a lot of the attention was in stress tests and liquidity requirements from the bank. We'll see what happens with that. I personally have my own beliefs that it was just basically rising interest rates, and SVB and a lot of these other banks had long term debt investments, and the higher rates basically blew their accounts up when people started to, withdraw cash, right? Because if you think about Silicon Valley and San Francisco and San Jose, a lot of startups there are kind of running on fumes right now. They're, pulling out cash, not, you know, to invest, but they're using their cash savings to pay bills, payroll, and debt payments. So that activity is what caused some of that soft, well, not even soft, but some of that breakage at SVB. So that was this morning. There's also some talks about continuing talks. I've posted on Substack about this many times, but it looks like Brazil, Russia, India, China, and Saudi Arabia are trying to work out a way to transact goods, commodities, oil outside of the US dollar. I think this can potentially set the stage for global geopolitical strife and potentially war. Keep an eye out for this. The US does not want to lose the reserve currency status. What was strong today? Surprisingly, I mentioned the other day when I was mentioning Sweet Green that was up really big the other day, but now Kava, which I mentioned in the same breath, caught up. Kava had a great day, up 11%. I've never eaten there, but apparently it's a Greek uh, quick service restaurant, kind of like Chipotle. And they are growing very fast in the suburban areas where people are working home at home remotely. So keep an eye out on Kava. They just went IPO a few weeks ago. Another sore thumb sticking out here is Kura Sushi. They have about 62 locations nationwide. Ticker symbol KRUS. They were up 7% for the day, but year to date from January, they're up 117% for some sushi. I've never eaten there. My favorite sushi spot here in New York is Sugarfish. If you're in the East Coast in New York or California, you'll know of this name. But yeah, Kuru Sushi, they do kind of the conveyor belt style sushi, and it's very popular. It's a good experience apparently, and they're doing very well. Wayfair, I mentioned this in the other podcast. They're up today 6% plus. And then you have Rivian and Neo. They're both electronic car makers. Rivian's up 3.28%. Neo ended up today at 7.9%. A couple other things that really stuck out to me when you look at shares of Lyft. Lyft, they're up 18% over the last 30 days. And just today, they closed about 9% higher. Uber has risen more than 35% in the past 3 months. So there's something going on here with rideshare. Pretty bullish action here. We'll see how it goes. This is not a recommendation to buy. Anything I discuss on my podcast or Substack is just entertainment and my observations. Please do your own homework before you jump into any of these. Another thing that I noticed was AI shares were up 3.9%. It's been hammered in the past couple of weeks, so that's kind of just bouncing here. And then when you look at home builders, they're unusually strong, right? The whole sector. XHB is up 2.84% today. Every single home builder is up between 2 to 3% on the day. That's like Toll Brothers, Beazer Homes, Lennar, etc. And I can kind of go through probably in a Substack on why I think this is happening, but I myself am kind of dipping my toes in the water looking for a home. And what I'm finding is there's two markets. There's almost two complete separate markets. You have pre-owned or existing home sales. So these are homes that were built and other people have lived in them already. Um, and then you have the home builders. And the reason why I'm saying this is the home builders, they have the facilities to offer rate buy down. So if you walk into a showroom and you're looking for a luxury home at Toll Brothers or a home like at Lennar, they're trying to give you incentives and say, hey, look, rates are 7.5% for 30-year jumbo. We'll give you 5 or 4.5% for 30 years, pay all your closing costs, etc. So that's kind of how they're selling homes right now, through discounting. How long can this happen before they run out of qualified buyers? That is the $1 trillion question right now. Airbnb, ancillary to housing, but very important to housing, is also up about 1% today. And despite the fact that, we had a very strong day in the markets, I would say when you take a look at the seven amigos of Apple, Nvidia, Tesla, Amazon, Google, Microsoft, and Meta, their performance today was kind of lackluster. So keep an eye on those. Let's see what happens. They all closed red except for Meta. So let's see if that continues. And one of them is lying, and one has a good hand, one has a bad hand, but we'll see. And kind of what to watch this week. Earnings hasn't started yet, but on Wednesday we have the CPI numbers pre-market, and on Thursday we have the PPI numbers pre-market. There's a couple Fed heads speaking later this week as well, so again that can be kind of headline shock. But that's kind of it for me. I'm gonna sign off. Thank you so much again for following the Substack and listening to the daily podcasts. Please share. It would mean the world to me if you would share it and kind of rate it on Spotify or iTunes. And hopefully, you find value in these short, less than 15-minute summaries of the day's action. Have a great evening if you're listening to this on Monday night. If you're listening to this on your morning run on Tuesday, good morning. Have a great rest of your day, and we'll talk again tomorrow. Thank you.